What's up everybody? In this video, I'm gonna show you how to build $1 million brand from scratch. Some people think that building $1 million brand is only possible if you have a lot of money to invest in marketing, or if you're super famous already. Well, that's simply not true. I know because I've built multiple 7-figure brands with little to no marketing budget and without being an influencer. If you skip even one of them, then you won't be able to get to where you want to go. So make sure to watch until the end of the video so you don't miss any of these steps. If you want to sell something that nobody wants, well, you're not going to be successful. You want to find the intersection between what you like, what you understand, and what people actually want to buy. Once you've identified a gap in the market, it's time to create a product or service that solves the specific problem of that niche. That means constantly adding new features and improving the user experience. The first approach is to price based on the value you bring to the customer. Your brand name is one of the most important things about your business. It's what people will use to identify you and what will set you apart from the competition. When choosing a name for your brand, you want to keep a few things in mind. You can do it yourself using online tools like Canva, or you can hire a graphic designer to do it for you. If you want to share your story with the world, you can enter your story into our annual scholarship contest. We'll ask you some questions about your brand and how it's impacted your life. If you win, you'll receive $10,000 and the opportunity to be featured on our podcast. So if you think your brand has made a difference in the world, we encourage you to apply for the scholarship contest. If you want to go the DIY route, I recommend checking out resources like Logo.com or Tailor Brands. These websites can help you generate a logo that you can then customize to fit your brand. If you decide to hire a graphic designer, I recommend checking out websites like Upwork or Fiverr. You can find a graphic designer on these websites that fits your budget and needs. First, you want to make sure that the name is memorable. Nobody's going to want to work with a business that they can't remember. Second, you want to make sure that the name is relevant to your industry or the product you sell. For example, if you're selling software, you might want to include the word tech or digital in your brand name. Third, you want to make sure that the name is available. This means that you need to check to see if there are any other businesses using that name in your industry. The last thing you want is to have to rebrand because you chose a name that was already in use. For example, if you're a consultant, you might charge a high hourly rate because you're bringing a lot of knowledge and experience to the table. You can do this by doing a quick Google search or by checking with a trademark attorney. It's what people will use to identify you and what will set you apart from the competition. When creating a logo for your brand, you want to keep a few things in mind. First, you want to make sure that the logo is simple and memorable. Nobody is going to want to work with a business that has a complicated logo that they can't remember. Second, you want to make sure that the logo is relevant to your industry or the product you sell. For example, if you're selling software, you might want to use colors or shapes that are commonly associated with technology. Third, you want to make sure that the logo is versatile. This means that it should look good on both print and digital media. The last thing you want is to have a logo that looks great on a website but doesn't translate well to a printed brochure. If you're serious about starting a business, I highly recommend that you get a trademark search done. A trademark search will help you avoid choosing a name that's dissimilar to an existing trademark, which could lead to legal issues down the road. Or if you're a software developer, you might charge a premium for your services because you're delivering a high-quality product that saves the client time and money in the long run. Approach no how to is to price based on your competitors. If you're in a competitive industry, you might need to offer competitive prices in order to attract customers. This doesn't mean you have to undersell yourself, but it does mean that you need to be aware of what other businesses are charging for similar products or services. And the third approach is to price based on your costs. This is a more common approach among product-based businesses. For example, if you manufacture a physical product, you'll need to consider the cost of materials, labor, and overhead when setting your price. You want to set a price that allows you to make a profit while still being competitive in the market. I added things like automated email reminders, progress video generation, mobile responsiveness, and many more features that help gym owners and trainers use pick-to-cart more effectively. For example, I saw that businesses in the health and wellness industry were struggling to manage their clients' progress photos. So I created a software solution called Pictocart that automatically takes photos and videos of gym clients and organizes them in their client profiles. I spent a few months developing this software, but I knew that there was a real need for it in the market, and that if I could solve this problem, I would have a successful business. For example, I love solving problems with software. I've been programming since I was 12 years old, and I really enjoy learning new technologies and building applications with them. And I also see a lot of people struggling online to learn how to use different tools. So it made sense for me to start my business in the software industry, which is exactly what I did. I started by offering web design services when I was 16, and later I switched to custom software development. So it's absolutely possible for anybody to do. Pick an industry that you like and that you understand. If you don't like something, you won't be passionate about it, and you won't put in the work required to succeed. And also, if you don't understand the basics of the industry you're getting into, you lines probably make a lot of mistakes early on that will cost you a lot of time and money. There are only 3 steps to creating a $1 million brand, but each step has multiple actions you need to take. Step number 1, choose your industry. Now you might already have an industry in mind, but if you don't, here are some things to consider. What I mean by this is that you want to look for a specific subset of the market that isn't being served properly by the current businesses in that industry. This is basically your target audience. For example, I noticed that while there were plenty of web designers out there, most of them weren't good at custom software development and vice versa. And that's when I decided to focus my business on building custom software solutions for other businesses. It took me just over 2 years to hit 7 figures in revenue with my software company, and most of that revenue came from referrals and word of mouth. You should also pick an industry that solves a real problem. Once you've decided on an industry, it's time to find a gap in the market. If you want to scale faster, though, you can leverage online platforms to get more exposure. Now I didn't stop there. I also went out of my way to make Pictocart the best photo management software for gyms. When it comes to pricing your product or service, there are a few different approaches you can take. Step No. 2 is to pick a name for your brand. Once you've come up with a few potential names for your brand, you can start checking to see if they're available. Step 3. Create a logo for your brand. Your logo is one of the most important things about your brand. There are a few different ways to go about creating a logo for your brand. So those are the 3 steps you need to take to create a $1 million brand.